This is section 6.5, multiplication with polynomials. So we're going to multiply the polynomials now. And our first problem, we are going to distribute this to each of the terms. Okay, you guys are familiar with distributing already. But we're going to distribute these, and I'm just going to show you how to kind of break it down. Negative 4x times x squared, and then negative 4x times negative 3x, then negative 4x times 12. See this negative 4x? Each time, that's where it's coming from. Okay, and you're allowed to do that only when you multiply. Okay, you cannot do that. You can't combine them when you are adding and subtracting. You can only multiply them. See how they're not the same exponent? That is fine only if you're multiplying. Okay, if you're adding or subtracting, you have to have the same exponent. But if you are multiplying, it doesn't matter. So when I combine these, it's going to be a negative 4x. And remember with the exponent properties, we add the exponents. Okay, so when I combine these, I'm going to end up with a 12x to the, people would think it would be the first term, but it's actually 1 plus 1, which is squared. And then negative 4 times 12 is negative 48x. Okay, so it's a little bit different than what we're used to, but with multiplying, doesn't matter. Like if the exponents, doesn't matter if it's the same. It's okay. Alright, moving on. Okay, so the next one, we are going to take the 2x and multiply it by the first and then by the second term. Oops, I went all the way back. Okay, so I'm going to take this term, the first term, and I'm going to multiply that by this term, okay, and this term. And then I'm going to take this and multiply it by this term and that term. So I'm going to write this out and show you what it's going to look like. So you have 2x, and then you're going to multiply 2x by this whole thing. So 5x plus 3, and then we have the 4, or the negative 4, excuse me. And then you're going to multiply that by the 5x plus 3. Okay, so we're going to do that. So we do that by distributing, of course. So you're going to end up with 2x times 5x, which is 10x squared. And then 2x plus 3, or times 3 is going to give you 6x. And then negative 4 times 5x is negative 20x. Negative 4 times 3 is going to give you negative 12. Okay, then we can combine the middle. That's 10x squared minus 14x minus 12. Okay, and everything is simplified and you can't combine any more terms. Okay, so let's look at different type of problem. We're going to do it the same way, where you're going to multiply each of the terms together. So when you look at this, you're going to multiply everything. So I'm going to take the top term, right? And I'm going to multiply everything by 3 up here. And then I'm going to take this, do the same thing, but multiply everything by 2y. Okay, so let's start with multiplying by 3. So I'm going to do this, 3, and I'm getting it from over here. And then I'm going to just rewrite the top, 7y squared minus 3y plus 2. Okay, and then I'm actually going to work this out first. And so this gives you 21y squared minus 9y plus 6. Okay, once I do that, then I have to remember to come back up here and multiply that by the 2y. But you have to remember that you are not multiplying this one by 2y. You are multiplying 2y by this one. Okay? So I'm going to do this off to the side. So I'm taking that 2y, and then I'm going to multiply it by 7y squared minus 3y plus 2. And then I'm going to distribute that. And whatever I get from that is going to go underneath here where I can combine it. So this is going to give me 14y to the third power, oops, minus 6y to the second power plus 4y. Okay, so each one has to be done separately. See how to multiply this one by a coefficient of 3 and this one by coefficient, and we had 2y. So now I can combine them, line them up, combine them like I did before. I'm going to come over here and start with 14y to the third because we don't have another one of y to the third. And then I'm going to do the plus 15 because I'm going to take the -9 and the -6, right? And I'm going to, why did I put plus 15? Oh, I'm sorry. Oops. I made a mistake. Okay, I was supposed to come over here and put -6y squared and then 4y. I should have rewrote it before I started trying to add it. And then remember, if there is not another term, you just put a 0. Okay, now I can go through and add it. Okay, so we do 14y to the third power, then 15y to the second power, and then -5y, and then plus 6. And then check to make sure that none of your exponents are the same. Okay, so they're all different. We've combined everything, so you're good. Okay, here is another problem where you're going to multiply 3 terms by 3 terms. So we're going to take each of these terms and multiply it by the top, and then combine them together. So I'm going to rewrite them over here. And then this one was supposed to be plus, minus. Okay, so first I'm going to multiply all of these by 1. Okay, and when I multiply all of them by 1, you get the same thing, of course. Okay, next I'm going to multiply this whole thing by negative 3x. And if you need to come over to the side to do it, that's okay. But you would just write out your solution over here. So that would be negative 3x to the third power minus 9x squared plus 3x and then plus 0. And I try to make them aligned as I could, but it's not really working out too well. Okay, the next thing we're going to multiply is this x squared by the whole top. So I'm going to come over here, multiply x squared, and then x squared multiplied by x squared plus 3x minus 1. And you distribute that. And then I'm going to get a x to the fourth plus 3x to the third. I have no x squareds, but I do have an x squared. I have no regular x's, so I'm going to put a plus 0 and a plus 0. And then I'm going to combine them. So hopefully this will help you so this is on its own. Okay, this is what I'm going to combine here. Then I'm going to combine the squareds. Then I'm going to combine the x's. And then I'm going to combine the regular numbers. So that leaves me with x to the fourth power. These x to the third powers, they cancel. And then I have negative 9x squared which actually should be a negative 10x. And then the 3x and the 3x is going to give you 6x. And then you have up here the minus 1. And then that's simplified. And to go back, when you're combining them, oh, see, I didn't see this up here. I was right at first. So when I combined them, there was a negative 1 here, but then there's a 1 here. So it is negative 9. So I need to go back and fix that. So that is going to be negative 9. Because the positive 1 and the negative 1 cancel each other out. So in this next problem, I have multiple things that I'm going to be doing. I have to multiply these two together first, and then at the very end I will multiply this last one. Okay, so you're going to multiply these two together first, the same way that we did before. So I'm going to take this x and multiply it by this whole thing, and this negative 5 and multiply it by this whole thing. So I'm going to do x, and I'm getting that x from right here. So do x, and then I'm going to do x plus 2, and I get that from here. And then I got the negative 5, so I got negative 5, and then I'm going to multiply that by the same term, and I'm going to distribute that to both of those terms. So I end up with, so you distribute those, you end up with x squared plus 2x minus 5x minus 10. Okay, and then together, you're just combining those. You get x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, then after you're done with that, you can come back and take that and multiply that by x minus 1. Okay, so we're basically taking this x and multiplying it by everything in here. I'm trying to use different colors. Everything in here. And then we're taking this negative 1 and multiplying it by everything in here. So if I started with the x first, okay, I'm going to come over here, start with the x first, then I would end up with, let's see, we have x squared minus 3x minus 10, and together that's going to make x to the third minus 3x squared minus 10x. Okay, so that part's done. So I already just did this part. Now I got to take the negative 1, okay, and multiply it by all of this. So I'm going to come over here and do that. So negative 1, and then I have x squared minus 3x minus 10, and then I'm going to distribute that. When I distribute that, that's going to give me a negative x squared, a positive 3x, and a positive 10. So then I can take this and this and combine them together. So when I combine them together, let me erase that part. So I'm going to take this, so I'm going to put the, I don't have anything for the x to the third, but I do have the negative x to the second plus the 3x plus the 10. And then I can combine them, remember, in the little columns. I can combine them. So then I end up with x to the third minus 4x squared minus 7x plus 10. And then I can check to make sure that all the terms are similar. Okay, and then that means that I've simplified it to the best of my ability. And then here are your 4 practice problems. And you can rewind the video to get extra help or extra practice, or you can also send me a message and I can help you with it as well.